Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome, and once again, welcome. Whether you're joining from your cozy bedroom, your classroom, or secretly turning in work, we're thrilled to have you here. I'm Yasmin Jinan.
And I'm Naila Putri.
We're your moderator and future guide for today's session.
And we promise we won't let you get bored. Today's webinar is not just another Zoom session, it's a moment to grow, reflect, and get inspired.
Our topic today is what's really like to study in Malaysia. Of course, most of us are curious about the education system.
So sit back, grab your notebook or just your thought, and let's dive in.
And now it's time to introduce our speaker, someone who's not just knowledgeable but also passionate about media technology and design. She's now studying at Universiti Sains Malaysia, or USM, Masya Allah.
Please give a virtual respect to her by giving your love emoji for Tsabita Saifana.
Hello everyone.
Hello, Tsabita. How's life today?
Oh what? I'm sorry?
How's life today, Tsabita?
Alhamdulillah, I'm really great. How about you guys?
How's life today, Tsabita? We're good. How about your condition there?
The condition here, I'm actually good, but the condition outside is pretty hot. I think it's almost like 50 degrees outside.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're so excited here to listen to your experience.
For the audience, feel free to drop your reaction, thoughts, or aha moment in the chat box. We love the interaction.
So, okay, Tsabita, the stage in this case and the screen is all yours.
Okay, thank you guys. First of all, thank you for having me here. Wait, give me a minute to share my screen. Wait. Okay, can you see my screen? Oh, is it not showing? Okay. Okay, can you guys hear my voice? I think you guys can hear my voice. Okay, I'll just start. Okay, first of all, thank you everyone for having me here. I'm actually a bit nervous because this is my first talk, so I hope it could goes really well. So from what you can see, the title is what it's really like to study in Malaysia from my POV. And for the talk, we're going to talk a little brief intro about the place that I study, and also about how the academic life goes on there and how I see the daily life and the culture there. And last thing is my personal experiences there. Okay, so a little intro about me. So I was born and raised in Jakarta. Actually, I was raised in many places, but let's just keep it short, Jakarta. And I study new media design and technology as my major in USM. And in USM, new media is seen as a minor program from fine art. So later, when we graduated, we will have a bachelor or fine art title. And I'm also a final year student and currently working on my final project. I'm also a student of the October 2022 intake, and so I think right now I've been living and studying in Malaysia for almost 3 years. And a little fact about me, I like art. I like art in general. I like traditional arts, also like modern arts as well. And I also like documentaries. I think I almost finished all of the documentaries on Netflix. And last thing, I like museum. If you ever heard about the Museum Nasional in Jakarta, that's like my favorite museum ever. Okay, let's continue. So here are the brief introduction about USM. So USM located on Penang Island. It is not the main island of Malaysia, but it's still part of West Malaysia, and it's located on like the northern of Malaysia. And currently, it is in the top of the in the top 10 of top university in Southeast Asia, and currently is the 134th in the world. It has six campuses. They are the main campus, the place where I study right now. It's the place where most programs based on, mostly undergraduate programs. And then we have engineering campus. It's also in Penang, but it's located on the mainland. There are also health campus on the East Coast mainland. It's located on Kelantan. Advanced medical and dental program. I like engineering campus. It's also like in Penang, but the mainland side. There are also campuses for the postgraduates program on KL and on India. I think in India it's the like advanced medical, but with like international standard program, I think. Okay, next. Oh, wait. Okay. So USM is also a public research university. So they're not just focused on like teaching and stuff, but they also like focus on doing research. And since there are a public university, they are funded by the government or the state. So they tend to have a lesser tuition fee, but that's only for local because internationally we have a different system. But that's also like the reason why a lot of people decided to continue their graduates or like postgraduate studies here. And we as an undergraduate student, we were also taught to have this kind of like foundation on how to do a research. It doesn't matter what programs you are from, whether you're an art student or like a theater student. And I'm so sorry for the confusing order. The last is the USM is one of the oldest campus in Malaysia. It's the second oldest university in Malaysia. But it was the first university in the northern Malaysia. It was established in around 1969, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, next. Okay. Aside from USM, I think I need to introduce about Penang as well. So the Penang that I lived in, it was actually the Pulau Pinang, the Penang Island. There are two parts of Penang, Penang in the mainland and Penang in the island. Um, the one that I'm studying is on the island. And it was a home base of the Mama, the Indian Muslim Penang, and the Chinese Malaysia. I think there are about more than 50% of Chinese Malaysia that cohabited in the island. And like most of the Melayu Malay, they stayed on the Penang mainland because it used to be the part of Kedah. And second, since Penang is a local, it's a tourist point. How do I say it? And also because they have like many races in Malaysia that living in the island, I kind of see this kind of thing where they have this very strong culture thingy. They almost like celebrate like all holiday. But I'm just gonna like be honest, it's more to the Indians and Chinese people's holiday. Like they have Taipusam and Chinese New Year, and it was so big that it could happen for like days. Yeah, days. Okay, and second, next, the food. The food is just something else. I really love Penang food, to be honest. But of course, if you're in the Penang Island, you won't be seeing a lot of like Melayu food, like Melayu Malay food. But you will be seeing a lot of nasi kandar stalls and Chinese foods. Chinese foods are everywhere, but it's kind of like a bit tricky because how do I say? Because mostly the Chinese are non-Muslim, so it's gonna be hard to find the good halal Chinese food here. But Penang foods are like I think the best among the other state in Malaysia. Okay. So next, Penang is also a heritage cities. So there are a lot of city center in Penang that was designated by UNESCO World Heritage Site, I think, because it was a well-preserved colonial architecture kind of thing. And because of its unique mix of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and European influences, it has a lot of like historical shop houses, clan houses, and also like these religious sites. And it used to be like this multicultural port city where the trading used to happen there. Okay, I think one of the most famous city in Penang, it's Georgetown. If you would imagine Georgetown, what Georgetown could be in Indonesia, I would say it was like this Kotu with Block M. If I'm going to like picture it, because it where everything happened, like the pop culture, the history, old buildings, but it also have this kind of like edgy and chic cafes and hangout spot located. And the last thing is Penang is so hot. It was so hot that whenever you walk, you'll see a lot of people wearing these umbrellas everywhere. I mean, I kind of get it because we're an island and it's surrounded by beaches and stuff. And even my local roommates, they said that Penang, it's extremely hot. They said that the panas in Penang is very, very menyiksa compared to other states in Malaysia. Okay, next. So this is the last part of the introduction. Why Malaysia? Why 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 do I choose to study here? So first, affordable tuition and living costs. This is actually like from my parents' side because their biggest consideration is the cost, but also like the rank. But I forgot to wrote it there. Basically like the cost is pretty affordable, like if you compare it to like other overseas university. But it's not just about the tuition, but it's also like the living cost, the currency difference, the lifestyle there. And the other factors is about me. For me, I was actually in the beginning I was given two choice by my parents. It's either Turkey or Malaysia, and I chose Malaysia because first of all it's close to Indonesia. How I think about it, it is it'll be easy for me to visit my family in Indonesia, and let's say if there's something urgent, I could go back easily, and the flight is short, and the cost isn't that big. And also because of the familiar culture and environment, the familiarity of the environment and the culture is just another factor for me because I used to live in Malaysia. I think it's around like 2004 to 2010. So practically I was raised there too. That time I don't think I'll need a long time to adapt to the environment because we're serumpun. I do understand a little of Bahasa Melayu, and I don't need to learn other language or take another gap year for language preparation. And the culture, I would say it's not very that different compared to Indonesia because yeah, we're serumpun. And last is because they use English as its medium of instruction. Most university in Malaysia, they use English as their medium of instruction, even though like some of the programs have Melayu as their medium, and but sometimes they still taught us in English. It's just more like the assignment that we can use Bahasa Melayu for. So, for example, my program is actually use Bahasa Melayu as its medium, but the lecturer still taught us in English. Okay, let's move to the main star. So I'm going to talk about the academic life, like what's really happening there and how do I see it. So for the academic life, for the classes and subjects, we have this kind of like things. We have to take majors, minors, elective, university, and co-curricular subjects. For me, as I mentioned before, I took new media as my major, so I need to take classes that are assigned for new media students. And for minor, we can choose whatever subject we want. You can take math, computer science, French, basically whatever. And for me, I decided to take fine art because, like I said before, I like traditional arts and modern arts, and it's also like within my school, so I don't have to walk so far, like across the schools and stuff. And for the elective, basically, it's just a class that you have to take outside your major, but it's still within the school. So let's say, since I took new media, I can take graphic communications, packaging design class, or the product design students class, the industrial drawing class. And for the universities subjects, it's a bit different for international and locals. For us, international, we have to take a Bahasa Melayu class. And since my program uses Bahasa Melayu as its medium, I need to take the first and the second level of Bahasa Melayu class. And we also need to take the Southeast Asian Studies. Even though I'm Indonesian, it's where it's part of Southeast Asian, I need to take this class as well. But they are also have classes that are applied for both international and local students, like the English classes. Like no matter what level you are on, you need to take at least 4 units. And in my case, I was assigned on the second level class, and then I moved to the next level, the last level, and that's 2 class and 4 units. So I'm done. Other than that, we have to take this critical thinking class and research class where we kind of like study how to do research and how to gather and manage the data collection that we had. Okay, so this is like the parts that kind of like a bit shocking for me, that we have this category called COK or core curriculum, and it's mandatory. And from what I know, each school has different rules about how much units you have to take for these categories. And for me, it's just like 2 units. So it's not a lot, but Koke covers a lot of categories, I would say, like sport, culture, social team, and a lot of things. And I think I took environment classes. I kind of forgot what class that is, but it's like the like like about you keeping the environment sustainable. So I think it's more like a mix between the social and environment categories there, because at the end we have to do like social services. Okay, so class are mostly taught in English. I've mentioned this before because most Malaysia university use English as their main medium. So classes are mostly taught in English, even though the classes medium the classes use Bahasa Melayu as its medium. They're still going to teach you in English because, like I said before, Bahasa Melayu as their medium is more about how you can use the language for your assignment or when you're doing your exams. Okay, for last part of the classes and subject, the final exam are fixed by the university and not the lecturer. So the final exam in Malaysia is scheduled. We have this thing called study week and exam weeks. Usually it happened after the last week of the semester, which is week 15. Usually it happened after the last week of the semester. I'm sorry, I mentioned that before. Okay, so there's a week break for the study, and like a nonstop 3 weeks of exams. When I say nonstop, it's including the weekend, so it's nonstop. So that's pretty crazy. But for us, student of the art school, some of us didn't really have exam unless you took a minor or like other subject that's required you to have exams. Because for us, our student, mostly we have this like 100% coursework subjects. But that's mostly for the design student. But like if you're not design student, like let's say you're a fine art student or like a musical student, you still have to do exam, and it's not assigned by the lecturer. So you don't really have you don't really need to be worried about about this schedule clashing and stuff. They won't be clashing at all. And since they're not assigned by the lecturer, it's gonna be hard if you miss the exam, or you cannot really like bargain or anything. And for the exam, they usually put this like two language, bahasa Melayu and the bahasa English, if the exam is uses bahasa Melayu as its medium. And you can answer it in one of them. Like if you more comfortable answer it in English, then you can do it in English. So if you can see, this is like this picture is one of the classes that I took for my major. I think this is the 3D modeling class where we experiment kind of stuff. And this is the class for my minor, the fine art one. This is where the lecturer do the demo of the painting that we have to do. And this is how the exam paper, you can see the first part is like in uh, Malaysia in Bahasa Melayu, and the bottom one is in Bahasa English, I'm sorry. And this is how the exam goes. You'll be seated in with a lot of people there and just do your exam there. Okay, so this is one of the part that I kind of like very notice when I arrive and start my study there. The English level difference are just it hit different. It hits different. When I got my first English class, I noticed the difference instantly. The local, they have a really good English, like at least the ones on my class and my friends. Not only they're good in their everyday English, also the academic English. Like their structure, the vocabs are just like, it's different. And I've been learning English my whole life. I think even like before the preschool, I started to study in English because my parents told us to. Um, I study English since preschool until I'm in high school, and it was pretty devastated for me because the English are just different. I'm more to like using everyday English, and turns out I have to also study English for the academic purpose. But at the same time, I think like I could adapt a bit fast because I was pretty privileged. My parents signed me up to this English academy when I was in elementary school until junior high school. So I could like hold the grasp of what happened in my class. But I still feel like I'm pretty left behind, I would say. So here you can see this is like the class, like what they teach us about. And I think this is like my first writing exam, but this is like the midterms. It actually has 2 pages, and the first page are like all red. And it was pretty embarrassing because I thought that I could do it because I have this IELTS 6.5 band, and I was pretty embarrassed because turns out the class was actually not really the advanced class, because I thought the 6.5 IELTS band are pretty high, but I'm not. It's not. Okay, let's move on. So I also want to talk about the daily life and culture there. So when you're studying there, it's not just about the academic that affects you, but also like how you go through your life and culture there. Okay. Um, but wait, I think for the rest of the academic life, I think the rest is almost like similar to what happened in Indonesian university. But if you have like more question about it, you can ask me later. Okay, so I get to experience to live in a dorm or in university housing. I think for the I think on my first year I got local roommates. Also on my third year I got also a local roommate. But on my second year I got international roommate. I got a Bangladeshi roommate. Yeah, and it's pretty fun. Alhamdulillah, and thank God we got along, and nothing dramatic happened. And I think thanks to my local roommates, I could fit easily with my local friends. So yeah, and also Malaysia is a diverse country, especially when you got into the university. We know that Malaysia is a multicultural country. It has several races, and even the Melayu Malay, they are diverse. Like every different part of the states has their own characteristic and culture. But I think the sad part about it is they tend to be in a group. So you'll often see local Chinese with local Chinese and like Hindu Indian with Hindu Indian. You won't see, I think it would be rare to see like local Chinese with international Chinese or like vice versa. Um, I think there are several like racist group, but it's a rare sight for me. Okay, next. Okay, I think one of the best part of living in Malaysia is Malaysians love food. Like they are very, very, very a foodie. I think food festival would happen like every week. Honestly, it's not good for my pocket. It's not good for my money, but I really like food, so it's okay. And eventually, it's the event where the student anticipated the most because, like, you would see that they keep like asking for more food festivals. Okay, the public transportation is convenient there. So if you see, I put like three pictures here. This one is like the train, and this one is the bus, and this one is a ferry. I think this is where when I did my travel to Hatyai. So it's actually very easy. They have a lot of bus stops everywhere. So uh, how do I say it? Uh, so yeah, public transportation becomes very easy because in Indonesia, you if you want to go to the train station, you ended up if you live far away from the station, you have to take Gojek. But in here, in Malaysia, it's a lot. There's a lot of bus stop. So if you need to go to the train station or you need to go to ferry, you could just take bus. Okay. And one thing that I also noticed about Malaysia, the Islamic practices are stricter than Indonesia. This is from my observation. To be honest, it's almost like similar, but for some reason, they are more like stricter. For example, there are no Gojek here. I mean, like in Malaysia, there's no Gojek because some people are concerned about, Muslimah in one vehicle with a man. And in a bus, I think this is like in USM bus, you won't see like a Muslim male would sit beside a Muslimah in the bus and vice versa. And Muslimah cannot eat publicly during Ramadan. If you get caught doing it, you'll get fined. And last part is we have a lot of holidays here. When I say we have a lot, it's just various. It could be like, for example, government birthday, or even like something would happen to the country, you'll get holiday. Um, it's also like a lot because when the holiday happen in the weekend, we'll get replacement for the holiday on the weekday. So let's say Taipusam is on Sunday, then Monday will be the holiday. And for everyone, a holiday is enjoyable. So yeah, okay, that's the part of the daily life and culture. I think we can move to the personal growth and lesson learned for myself. Okay. For me, I felt closer to Allah and myself because I'm studying overseas, so I'm far from my family, especially my parents, where they were the one who always reminded me to pray and do stuff. And I think because I kind of like remember my mom's always said that always Allah is always watching, so I kind of like need to remind myself I need to like hold to my ground. And when I said to like closer to myself, um, it's more like when you were like alone most of the time. I couldn't help but to feel to like this kind of like energy to learn more about myself. And so I don't really have pictures to explain that situation, but this is just me and my friends. We were on the USM Masjid doing our Idul Adha prayer. And for my self growth and improvement as well, um, I feel like I tried a lot of new good things for me in my university eras. For example, when I did this marathon event for the first time, or or when I received the dean list for the first time, it was a very a new moment for me. So I'm also like having this kind of like awareness of what happened in front of us, or what should we do to equip ourselves to become a better person. So that's why I think this phase it will happen to everyone who studied overseas. Okay. Um, the other part of my personal growth and lesson learned is one of the best part of studying in Malaysia is meeting people from so many different backgrounds. So in my classes and my dorms, I've met a lot of Malaysian and people from Middle East, Africa, and others. And at first, I didn't really know how to approach them because we have different cultures and the way we speak to each other were so different. But as the time went by, I learned how to listen more and ask questions and understand things from their perspective. So it's not just about being polite, but also like it's about being genuinely curious about open to learning new things. So when once you have friendship with people from across the culture, from across the countries, you'll ended up having this cultural awareness and be open-minded. So meeting a lot of people from different backgrounds and stuff, learning new things, it kind of like teaches me to be respectful as well to the customs and the culture that they have. So let's say I was actually when I first moved in, I was very, very, very disturbed by this fireworks. I think it's during the Chinese New Year. It happened for like days, and I couldn't sleep. I think, but I was like annoyed at first, but as the time goes by, I kind of just like accept it because yeah, I'm living in someone else's country and I need to respect their culture and stuff. Okay. So, apart from being a student here, I also had my first job here. My first job was being a part timer on a museum. So, USM has this museum, and that one time my lecturer asked us if we want to work there. So, I tried to apply, and Alhamdulillah, I got in as a museum sitter, also a documenter and a curator staff. I think it was like a 6 month contract. Months contract. After that, I got another job. I stumbled on an English tutoring job with this Chinese student. It was also a short term, but it was a great experience. So I also did some volunteers like muraling in the museum, being another curator staff. But the most unforgettable volunteers that I did is when I did this volunteer teaching for Indonesian kids. So I got to help them with their education so they can continue their studies either in Malaysia or in Indonesia, because some of them, they didn't have like this proper education, because some of them are like undocumented children's, and or they don't really have like money to go to school, or some of them just like want to hang out with their Indonesian friends. Okay, so the last part is the tips if you are interested in studying abroad. This is not just like if you want to study in Malaysia, but in general if you want to studying abroad. So you need to be like open-minded, because things might be different from what you used to, like from the food, the classroom, the culture, the situation. So, instead of seeing this like as a weird thing, just see this as an opportunity to learn. And second, practice writing academically in English. This is just like a personal tips for me, because I was a bit struggling when I have to like do a transition to like everyday English to academic English. It was pretty hard because the vocabulary you need to like use um as formal vocabulary as you can. So it's pretty hard for me. So, but um yeah, but you also can like speak English confidently, even if your grammar isn't perfect. It's more important to like express your ideas clearly. Actually, I think I forgot about this. I forgot to put it on the slides. Even though like I'm Indonesian and our language is not very that different with Malaysians, I still have language barrier. Sometimes there are times that I'm actually fluent in using Bahasa Melayu, but sometimes there are some moments that I couldn't even like express what I want to say in Bahasa Melayu. So I ended up speaking in English, and that works as well. So yeah, you need to like speak English confidently. And fourth, you have to like say yes to new things. So I am not a person who likes to get out of my comfort zones. So when I got into university, I kind of like told myself that I need to be like a different person. So yeah, I decided to join events and attend kind of like volunteers and stuff. So not only that you are out of your comfort zone, you also like make your studies kind of like more memorable. Does it say at the same time? And this is also important. Make the first move. Don't wait other students to approach you. I think back then, because like I'm a foreigner, uh, and I kind of like aware, if I don't make my first move, nobody will be my friends. So I kind of like approached them, and it kind of like it went well. So just approach them, start the conversation, invite them to hang out or like to study together and stuff, and make friends across groups, even with lecturers. This is kind of like important, because when you're like international students, some people would, like in Malaysia, they kind of like underestimate you if you're just like a mediocre student. So build good relationship with your lecturers, at least. I mean, at least your lecturer will see you. So it's not only could you I'm sorry. So it can give you a new perspective and unexpected opportunities as well. So the last part is learn to survive alone. Okay, so um, even though you have like a lot of friends and stuff, at the end you'll spend most of your time alone. So independence is a skill that you're gonna thank yourself later. And I think that's it. Thank you. So is there any question?
Wow, that was amazing. I don't know about you, but mine is buzzing right now.
So
So
we
we
have
have Kiara
Kiara
from
from
10
10
KV.
The
The
stage
stage
is
is
yours.
yours.
Okay. So I have a question, but first I would like to say thank you very much for Kasabita because you have already shared your experience. It was very inspiring me and also the audience. So I have two questions. First is I'm really curious and I really want to ask how you ensure yourself to study abroad and also how you react to people who underestimate you. So maybe that's my questions. Thank you.
Okay. So the first question is how I ensure myself to study abroad, right? Abroad, right? So actually, since I was a kid, my dad is an expat. So we kind of like so we were kind of like inspired by him. We really want to learn or to live abroad. So that's why it was basically like our plan to live and study abroad. So like whether um so that's basically. And the second question is how do I manage people that underestimate me? Is it correct? Oh, okay.
Yes, please.
um so I'm not a person who likes to talk, so I'm not a very extroverted person. So the only things that I could do is just to show my skill and just to show them that I'm not actually what they think about. But to be honest, I don't really care about people's opinion because I'm actually more focusing on my personal growth. So if there's like people you know think of me like that or underestimate me like that, I don't really care, to be honest, because I know my personal growth and I know my personal value. And just show your skill, just show what you have, and they'll just shut their mouth. Okay, is that answering all of your questions?
It is. Thank you so much, Kasavita, for answering my questions.
No problem. Thank you for asking. Oh,
So
should I
thank you.
answer the question from the comments as well?
Um, what question? So we also have some question from Ekin, 11
Mm-hmm.
FPL. The stage is yours.
All right. Thank you for the very wonderful sharing experience.
No
And
problem.
I really admire you. You're really cool enough. So I wanted to ask you a thing or two.
Mm-hmm.
First, my first question is, do you think it's easier to apply college in Malaysia or Indonesia? And my second question is, what motivated you to study? I think that's all. Thank you.
Um. Okay, for the first question, which are more easy in Malaysia or Indonesia? I think for I think it's how to say it. Both are like different. I couldn't really compare them like apple to apple, but like if I position myself as locals, of course Indonesia is also hard because we have to go through like exam and stuff. If I'm not mistaken, also my Malaysian friends, they also have to um, uh, go through this exam as well. But I think it's more like beneficial if you're like local in Malaysia, because they said that once they went through exam, they can choose like 10 universities. Like in Indonesia we only can choose two. But for me, international student, we have a different procedures about applying to university there. um, there are a lot of types like O level and stuff. For me, since I graduated from high school, I could only just like um, apply with my high school results. But I also have to do like English qualification as well. I took IELTS, and yeah, that's it for the application. The second question is, I'm sorry, what the second question?
What motivated you to study in Malaysia instead of maybe you could have like picked other countries? So yeah, what motivated you to study in Malaysia?
I think I mentioned this before. For me, it's because one, it's close to Indonesia. My sister used to live in Indonesia, so we were pretty close. And my plan is to go back to Indonesia every semester. And like, imagine if I have to live like in Turkey, it's gonna be hard to go back every semester because of the cost as well. And like, if there's like something urgent, I could just go back to Indonesia. And also because I am familiar with the culture and stuff, because we're kind of like similar Malaysia to Indonesia, right? It's not really like Muslim country, but at least me as a Muslim, um, I think we still like have the same principles and practices there. Also, the language. I think the language is also like important. I don't really like to take another gap just for like language preparation. That's why, I mean, like, I was like given two choices by my parents, either it's Malaysia or Turkey. And the reason why I choose Malaysia, because if I choose Turkey, I will have to go for language preparation for 1 year, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want that. Hopefully it's answering your questions. Okay.
Thank you, Ka, for answering the question, and thank you for Akin and Kiara for your nice question. So we might have we have some questions in the below in the comment. So this is from Chicho. Did you experience any culture shock? If yes, what kind of culture shock you have?
Color shocked. Actually, I do have some culture shock, even though I used to live in Malaysia. But Penang is just like different. It's not a really like a big culture shock. You might think this as a very very like you. I mean, like, it's very very. How to say? It's very weird. Like, their toilets are different. I mean, like, if you see like Indonesia toilet Jonggol, it's just different from that. And that's like my first culture shock. I was like, their toilet Jungkook is very different, and I am not comfortable using it. That's like my first culture shock in Penang. And second is, since I lived in Penang Island, there's like a lot of local Chinese everywhere, and believe me, it's pretty hard to find halal food if you went to Georgetown. It's also like a color shock for me, because uh like in KL, if I'm not mistaken, you can just like hang out easily, because most of the people there are like Melayu Malay. But in here and in Penang Island, it's mostly Chinese. So you need to be like careful with the food, and I'm still like trying to get used to it. What again? I think that's it. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for your nice answer, Kabita. So we also have the next question, which is from Kak Rai. Hello, Kak Sabita. Thank you for sharing earlier. I would like to ask, did you study in Malaysia with your own funds or a scholarship? Thank you.
Okay, this is interesting. I actually got a, how to say it? I was sponsored by my parents.
Wow. So
Okay,
cool.
so it's basically my own funds. Because in Malaysia, if you're going to this public university, they don't really like offer scholarship for undergraduate students. Hmm.
Okay. Okay, so you study in Malaysia with your own funds.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Kabita, for your nice answer. And we have one more question from Deep Deepa. So Kabita, may I ask you about which Malaysian dish did you enjoy the most?
Okay, this is very interesting. I'm a foodie person, so of course, I have this favorite Penang dish. I used to really like nasi lemak, but
Oh,
when I moved to Penang, I tried this Chinese dish called chili pan mi, and it was so good. I think I could like eat that thing for like once a week because it was so good. Yeah.
oh, I think so. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kasabita, for your nice answer.
So, um, we've
We've reached the end of our session, but hopefully it's the beginning of something new for you.
on behalf of SMP SMK IDN Akhwat, thank you so much to Kasabita for the insights, and of course, to all of you for being such a wonderful audience.
Let's not forget, growth happens when we show up, and today you showed up. I'm Siti Yasmin.
And I'm Naila Putri.
It's all back to you. Wassalamualaikum
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.